In this video, we're going to show you how to install a fuel pump module in your Honda Ridgeline located behind the back seats. On the driver's side of the kick panel right here up in the front passenger compartment, you're going to find this cover. It's right above the hood release handle. You're going to go ahead and pull that cover off, and that's going to expose the fuses right here. It's going to be the fifth one. It's a 15 amp right here. I'm going to grab that, and we're going to pull it out. Simply going to set that fuse aside and set our cover aside. Once we have that fuse out, the next thing we want to do is go ahead and start up the vehicle. What we're going to do is we're going to drain the fuel out of the fuel system, out of the line, depressurize that. So let's go ahead and do that, and then we'll come on back and we're going to pop that fuse back in there. Now that we cranked up the engine and it ran for just a moment and then it died out, we're going to go ahead and reinstall our 15 amp fuse. Go ahead and install your cover. Go ahead and open up your gas cap door right on the driver's side. Now at this point here, you want to make sure that you're working in a well-ventilated area, because now we're going to open up the fuel system. Open up that gas cap door and set that aside. Now with the rear doors open, we went ahead and we moved both driver and passenger seat all the way forward as far as I can go, because we're going to be climbing in there to work. Next step is, come on over here to the back seat, and it says pull handle. We're going to pull that and going to lift up on the back section, push it up, and it'll snap into place. Do the same on the passenger side. Now that we're in the back seat area here, we need to remove the plastic trim panels here, and they're simply held in by plastic pins. You're going to reach underneath the edge here. You can use a trim tool if you want, but in most cases you can just get underneath and just gently pull outward towards you. Work that seatbelt out around that trim. And you're just removing these plastic push pins here to release that. And then over here, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to grab that panel and pull out towards you. You're going to do the same over here. Now what this does is it exposes some bolts here. There's two here, two on the other side. We want to go ahead and loosen and remove those. Using a 14mm socket, loosen and remove these bolts. Remove the two on the passenger side. And pop off this little cover here as well. Fold this down and remove the inner cover. Remove these bolts. This one seatbelt bolt. Just to the right of these seatbelts here, there's going to be a 10mm bolt. Going to use our extension and 10mm socket. Remove that. On the left hand side, there's another 10mm bolt here, just above where we removed the two, and the same on the driver's side over here. Now it's probably going to take two people to go ahead and remove this. So go ahead and grab an extra person. You're going to take the back seat. You're going to pivot this up and remove it from the vehicle. Be careful not to gouge or damage your plastics when you're removing this with the metal brackets. Our next step is for the backrest area, you need to remove our headrest. Push in on the little spring tab here and lift up. Remove the headrest. We're going to do the same for the other side. Now just behind the headrest is going to be two panels. One you can flip up. The one just to the right on the outside, you're going to use a pocket screwdriver or a plastic trim tool. You're going to gently get between the plastic cover here. Just pry it up and pop it out. Do the same for the other side. Now we're going to grab the backrest, we're going to pull out the bottom, and we're going to firmly give it a quick jolt upwards. Do the same on the other. Pull it towards you. Then you should be able to grab that backrest, pull that up and out, and remove it. Now with the backrest removed, right here, you're going to lift up this section, and you're going to see this cover. Now there's 4 Phillips head screws on our particular vehicle. Yours might be a little bit different, but what we want to do is loosen and remove all 4 of these screws. We will be reusing these screws, so try not to lose them. Now underneath this cover is going to give us access to our fuel pump on the top of the tank. I'm going to peel up on that. Just kind of manipulate this around a little bit. Now with the cover up, this gives us access to our fuel pump unit. Let's go ahead and separate our electrical connector right here. There's a little pinch tab right there. We're going to wiggle this up. It might require 2 hands. Here we go. With that disconnected, in most cases, you can manipulate this rubber boot or this harness. Try and get this out of the way so you can work a little bit easier. Now there's going to be some debris down here. A couple options you can do. If you have compressed air, make sure you're wearing glasses, and I would cover your mouth as well because there's debris in here. You don't want to ingest any of that because we're going to be pulling this up and out, and we don't want anything to fall into the tank. Now we're about to open up our fuel system here. We did clean this out from all of our debris. Make sure you're working in a well-ventilated area when doing this job. I want to go ahead and separate our fuel line right here. There are little spring clips right here that need to be compressed. And then we're going to pull this line straight back. Do not bend it. You might lose a little bit of fuel through here, but that is part of us depressurizing our fuel system when doing this job. You're probably going to want to remove this clip here too. You just kind of gently flex that out and around. You're going to pull out on it gently, slide that off. Now we have our locking collar here. We have a tool here that goes on to the tabs. Now the unit is spring loaded, the fuel pump itself. So when you undo this lock collar, it will push up a little bit. Go ahead and grab that unit. You want to pay attention to the position of it. The fuel pump line is facing towards the rear of the vehicle, and obviously your electrical connector is on the left. There is a rubber O-ring here helping seal this. You're going to rotate it. Now you are going to lose some fuel, but you're going to pull up on it. It needs to tilt it off to the side, as there is a float arm in there for your fuel level sender, which is located right on the side over here. There is the float arm right there. Remove it from the vehicle and set it inside of a container or a bowl. You're going to take your fuel pump unit and your new gasket. You're going to slide up and over, making sure that the larger portion of the lip is facing up. Be careful not to damage your float level sensor right there. Work that gasket up and over. Slide this right up and onto the bottom of the lid here. Take your float arm on the side right here. You're going to find a little hole on the side of the potentiometer right here. You're going to insert this in. And there's a little retainer clip on here. You're going to hold it with your finger a little bit and then just bring down, put some pressure on that rod. And it'll snap into place. The trick here is you need to make sure that your rod is all the way down inside, and it'll snap into place. That way there, when that float arm goes up and down, it moves with the potentiometer here. Let's go ahead and install our pump. Before we install our new unit, just grab a towel or rag, wipe down around the edge. You want to make sure that this is all clean. The next step is, and it can be a little tricky, is you need to get the float into the tank itself without bending it. So just the way we removed it, we're going to tilt it so that the float is facing down. Make sure that fuel line doesn't get in the way. And we want to drop that potentiometer down inside the tank or the float itself, and then tilt it, drop it down. And once you get it down inside, you can then position it. You can rotate it or clock it clock it appropriately. And grab your locking collar. Now we simply want to press this down. Make sure that the gasket seats. And you have to work that a little bit to get that in there. Now my gasket is giving me a hard time. It does not want to go in smoothly. So what I'm doing now is I actually remove the gasket from the lid, and I'm putting the gasket on inside the tank, so I know that that gasket is fully seated. You do not want to take a chance and end up with a vapor leak. There we go. And that worked. Getting that gasket into the tank first and then pushing our fuel pump module down into place worked perfect. Grab that lock collar. Go ahead and get that started. Okay, now that we have our collar down as far as we can by hand, let's go ahead and snug it down with our tool. You do want to make sure that's good and tight. Go ahead and take your locking collar, snap that into place. Make sure that the tabs on either side line up with the notches on the line itself. There it is. You can hear it and feel it lock in. Give it a little tug, make sure it's locked into place. Grab your electrical connector, feed that through your cover, if that's what you did. Get that grommet installed. Get that connector hooked up on your fuel pump unit. Press it down, you're going to feel it in here, it snap into place. Line up that cover. Install your screws. I'm going to get all 4 of them started, and then I'll come back and snug them down. Now keep in mind, if you're installing a new fuel pump and you go to start the vehicle, it may take a couple seconds for the vehicle to start up because you have to get the fuel from the new pump up to the engine. And then obviously you want to go ahead and, once you have the vehicle running, just take a look underneath and make sure you don't have any fuel leaks. Our cover is secured. Go ahead and put our cover back here. We're simply going to go ahead and jump ahead and close up our gas cap. This is going to seal up our fuel system. That way there we don't have any fuel vapors coming out at all. We're simply going to go ahead and proceed to installing our back seat now and wrapping up the job. Now we're going to go ahead and raise up our seat, install the tabs or the hooks in the back here. All right, pull that down. Now we have our back hanging and inserted. The lower portion of the backrest is still pulled out. Now we're going to go ahead and install our lower portion of our seat. So now we've got a couple bolts in the bottom. We're able to take the low portion of the backrest and push that in over, and that utilizes the small 10 mils right here. Now at this point here, we have on our 2 outside bolts on each side. We now have our seatbelt bracket lined up, and we started putting the 2 lower bolts. Now the thing you want to pay attention to here, there are 2 different styles of bolts. We're going to show you here. I actually put one in. There's a standard bolt, and there's one that has a little sleeve extension on it. They are different lengths. So on the bottom here, you need to use these shorter ones. Once you get those started and you start to tighten them up, that's going to line up the 2 upper bolts as well as the 10 millimeter bolt that goes up on the side to that rear bracket. So go ahead and get those started. I'm also going to go ahead and get that 10 mil bolt started on the back bracket right here. I used a pry bar here between the metal bracket in the back and a little bit of the plastic hinge right there, and just gently applied a little bit of downward pressure to get that bolt to line up. At this point, we have all of our bolts lined up down here. Let's go ahead and tighten them down. Don't forget our two 10mm bolts on the outer edges here. Just double check those. Don't forget to pull down your shoulder strap. We need to anchor this bolt here. Now there is a tab on this that lines up with the body. That's good and tight. Now we can install our covers. We have our end caps we need to pop on the upper portion right beside the headrest. So go ahead and fold down our seats. It will finish up by installing our headrest and our retainer covers. Fold down our seat and then grab our headrest. I'm going to take our little cover here, and it's pretty basic. Just lines up with the arch facing forward. Line up with the little tabs. Snap that down. Then we're going to do the same for the other side. Now that we have our headrest in place, you can now hop into the vehicle, crank it up. It's going to take a moment for the vehicle to start. At that point there, go ahead and check for any fuel leaks underneath the vehicle, and then go for a road test, and you're all set.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.